Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this very tutorial, you are going to be learning how to make a trouser pattern. It is very simple, and if this is really what you want to learn, please stay tuned until the end of this tutorial. What I have right here on my paper are the measurements which we are going to be needing. I have my waist. So all these measurements are the round measurements which we are going to be needing. We have the waist measurement 38, we have the hip of 44, thigh 28, we have knee of 20, and we have ankle of 14 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this measurement by the side so that we can start with our drafting. So first thing I like to do before drafting out my trouser is to measure out my vertical line and my horizontal line, which I call the base line. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, on this particular side, I'm going to place my tape and I'll mark out 1.5 inches all the way to the hem. So after that, on this part also, I'll mark out 1 inch. So all these lines are going to serve as my starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and use my long ruler to connect all these lines together. So I'm done connecting the lines. The next thing I'm going to do is to start with my waist point, my hip point, my knee point, and then the length of this trouser. First thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and minus 1.5 inches for my band. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and input my crotch depth. Now, to get your crotch depth, you are going to divide your hip circumference by 4. So my hip circumference right here is 44 inches. 44 divided by 4, I'm going to have 11 inches. So I'm going to mark. Again, I'm going to go down and mark out my knee line. So my knee line, I'm going to make use of 20 inches. And then from here also, I'm going to mark out my length of trouser. So the length of this trouser, I'm going to make use of 21 inches. Now I'm going to be needing 2 inches for my folding allowance. So I'm going to add up 2 inches. Automatically, the length of our trouser is 43 inches, including the hemming allowance. So now coming back to this point, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. From the crotch depth, go up by 2 inches, and that automatically becomes your hip line. So I have my hip line to be at 9 inches. I'm going to go ahead and connect all these lines. Now that I have all my lines, we are going to have to label it. Okay, so I have the waist, I have the hip, I have my crotch depth. Again, I have my knee line. This is my ankle line, which is also the length of my trouser. And then this is my allowance. Okay, so now we are going to start from this line. So what we are going to do again is that your hip divided by 4, you are going to have to put it on the crotch line, on the hip line, and then on the waist line. But before you do that, you are going to have to add up 0.25 inches for ease, a little ease. So what I'm going to input now is 11.25 on the crotch depth, on the hip, and then on the waist. Okay, so I'm going to connect this, and this together. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and divide my waist by 4. Okay, so my waist circumference is 38 inches. If I divide it by 4, I'm also going to be needing 1 inch for that intake. So automatically I'm going to have 10.5 inches. So from this crotch line, okay, this line, that is where I'm going to take my tape backward, just like this, okay, and then I'll mark out 10.5 inches. Now after I mark out this 10.5 inches, I'm going to go ahead and connect it into the hip line, okay, and I'll do that using my hip curve. If you don't have a hip curve, you can as well make use of your free hands, okay. Now once you are done with that, the next thing you are going to input on this line is your thigh measurement, okay. Is either you are inputting your thigh measurement, which is 28 divided by 2, which gives you 14 inches, or what you are going to do also is you can divide this, whatever you got as your hip divided by 4, which is 11 inches. This is 11 inches further divided by 4 again, okay. So whatever you have, you're going to use that as your crotch extension. Remember what I told you, is either you are using 14 inches, which is your thigh divided by 2, because you guys, from this line, whatever we are going to input from this line downwards, we are going to be dividing it by 2, okay. But I don't know if you are going to understand me if you are a beginner, all right. But let me use this method and I will still explain. Now what I'm going to do is 11 divided by 4, okay. I'm going to be having 2.75. so from this line I'm going to input 2.75, okay. So this 2.75, I'm going to connect it using a slight curve into the crotch line. Do you understand? So but not to connect this deeply, okay, because if you connect it very deep, it's going to affect your crotch. So you are going to, from this line, come out by 1.5 inches. Now after you come out from this line 1.5 inches, next you are going to have to divide whatever you have in between the waist and the crotch depth. Divide it by 2, mark it out, and then connect. So I'm going to make use of my pattern master to do this. Can you see? So next thing I'm going to do now is to measure this line so that you understand what I mean, okay. You know I told you is either you are using your thigh measurement. So if I measure this, automatically I have 14 inches. Can you see? So I have 14 inches, but I'm not assuring you this is going to work for all measurements, okay. But for this one I got it very correct. So you guys, automatically I have my thigh measurement right here. Now what I am going to do is to divide this thigh measurement into 2, okay, so that I'll be able to get my grain line, okay. So this is my grain line, because we want our trouser to fit in well on our body, okay. So that's why we are dividing this pattern into 2, starting from the crotch depth, okay. So now what I have here is 7 inches, right. What I'm going to do is to go ahead and mark out 7 inches all the way to the down part of this my trouser, which is the hem. So we have succeeded in dividing this part into 2 equal halves. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and connect. So I'll call this my grain line. GRAIN line. Okay. So next, I'm going to go ahead and divide whatever I have on my knee. I'm going to divide it into 2 and again further divide into 2 again. So automatically, whatever we have on our knee, we are going to be dividing into 4. I don't know if you understand, because we want to share it equally on both ends. You know that whatever we have here, we are supposed to divide into 2, but because we want to share equally on both sides, because you already have the middle line, we are going to now divide it into 4. Now what do I mean? I have my knee measurement to be 20 inches. That is my round knee measurement. So when you divide it by 2, you are going to have 10 inches. Now because I want to share equally on both sides, so that our trouser will be able to fit correctly on our body, so what I'm going to do is to further divide it into 2 again. So I'm going to have 5. Now from this line, I'm going to mark out 5 inches, and from this line again, I'm going to mark out 5 inches. So in total I have 10 inches. Can you see? Now again, going down to the ankle, I have my ankle round measurement to be 14 inches. Now you already know what I explained. So I'm going to divide into 2, which is 7, and further divide into 2 again, and it's going to give me 3.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 3.5 inches here, and then 3.5 inches on this part, okay? And I'm going to also extend it down to the trouser allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and connect. So now, if I leave it this way, by the time I want to join the 2 sides of the trouser together, one part of it is going to short. So in that case, what I'm going to do is to go ahead and come out by half an inch. Okay, and on this part, I'm going to come out by half an inch, and I'll go ahead and connect it diagonally. Okay. So you can see what I have here, and I'm going to blend it properly well. Now that I'm done with this, it's time for us to insert our dart, okay? And to insert our dart, we are going to follow this line. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this line. And then I'll mark out half an inch from both sides. Now for the depth of my darts, for the front, I'm going to make use of 5 inches. So I'll connect. Okay. So we are done with the front pattern. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and we move over to the back. So you guys, this is the front. I'm going to bring in another pattern so that we can work on the back, okay? So guys, I have my fresh pattern paper. The next thing I'm going to do is to mark out a line, and this line is going to be about 4 inches down, okay? Can you see what I have? 4 inches down, and that is where I'm going to place my front pattern. Okay, you can see this is the hem. I've used my pins to secure it. So the first thing I'm going to do now is on this line, I'm going to input 2.5 inches. That is going to be my crotch extension. Okay, so I'm going to mark down 2.5 inches. (2.5 inches), and on this particular line I'm going to mark 2 inches. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. 2 inches. Now on this part, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches. Okay, and I'll measure what I have right here. So from this crotch line, I'm going to measure what I have. So I have 10.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is to measure like this. Can you see? And I'll mark 10.5 inches. Can you see what I have? 10.5 inches, and I'll add 2 inches. Okay, now after I add these 2 inches, I'm going to go ahead and connect it into this line. Okay, so this is 2 inches. I'm going to mark out 2 inches, 2 inches, and then I'll connect it into this line. Okay, so that is it for the back. Next, what I'm going to do is to measure what I have here. From this line, I'm going to measure, and what I have is 4.5 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do is from this line, I'm going to go ahead and measure 4.5 inches. And that will be where my dart is going to be. Okay, and also I'm going to measure what I have here, 4.5 inches. Can you see? So I'm going to ensure that here I also have 4.5 inches, and then that depth I'm going to use 6 inches, and I'm going to connect this line to this. So can you see? And next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and mark out 1/2 inch on both sides. and I'll go ahead and connect these two together. Okay, so this is going to be my dart legs. And I'll bring back this so that I'll be able to cut out what I have. Okay. So guys, you can see I have my front and my back trouser. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do now is to show you how to cut out your pocket in case you need to add pocket to this trouser. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the back, and then we use the front. So this is the back, and you see this is my back and this is the front. Okay, I'm going to do away with this one and we cut out the pockets. So you guys, for the pockets, remember that if you are making this for a trouser, okay, you are going to have to, on this part, remember that we increased this part for the back by 1.5 inches. So you can as well go ahead and minus 1.5 inches here and then connect it into this part. Okay, so but because I want to use this particular pattern for a jumpsuit, I'm not going to remove it. But if you are to put a waistband here, okay, you are going to go ahead and do just that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to determine the length of my pocket. Okay, so the length of my pocket, I want it to stop right on the crotch line, okay, which is 9.5 inches. Okay, this is 9.5 inches, but for the opening, let me make use of 6.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to make use of 6.5 inches. So next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and come in by half an inch. Now after I come in by half an inch, I'm going to go ahead and from here I'll go in by 2.5 inches. Okay, and then it all depends on how you want the shape of your pocket. If you want, you can connect it to be straight, but for this one I'm going to be making it to be curvy, just like this. So I'm going to use my curve ruler and then curve it out. And you see what I just did? Now that I have this, remember that you also need half an inch for your sewing allowance. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and mark out half an inch, and this is going to serve as my sewing allowance. So now this is how the shape of my pocket is going to look. Okay, so right on this part I'm going to come in by 1 inch. Okay, and I will go ahead and connect this like this. So I'm just trying to show you how the shape of your pocket should be. Okay, So this is going to be my pocket. Can you see? This is going to be my pocket. Now for me to cut it out, I'm going to make use of this brown paper. Okay, so you see I have two. So one is going to serve as my facing and one is going to serve as my filler. Okay, so I'm going to ensure that this part of my paper is aligning with the line, the dark line, which is the grain line. Okay, can you see? Can you see? And the first thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and cut out the shape. Okay, so you can see this is the hip. So I'm going to use my pencil, and this is the hip, this is the upper part, and this is the down part. So I'm going to remove one part of this and then place this just like this. And then I'll simply go ahead and now cut this out. Okay, so let me do that so that you can understand what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Can you see? So by the time I want to fix in my pocket, I'm going to have this facing like this. Can you see what I have? So this is going to be my pocket. Now this is my pocket. Can you see? So I'm going to use my pin and hold this down like this. So guys, you can see I have my front and my back pattern. So next thing I'm going to do right now is to remove this pattern aside, and then I will cut out my bands. So for this band, the first thing I'm going to do is to mark out a starting line. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to divide my waist measurement, that is my round waist measurement, into two equal halves, because I'm going to be having my zip right at the side of my trouser. So my round waist measurement is 38 inches divided by 2. So the wideness of my waistband is going to be 19 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out 19 inches, and I'm equally going to be needing half an inch on both sides of the band for joining allowance, which is 1 inch. So in total I'm going to be having 20 inches. Okay, and then the length of my band is going to be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out 1.5 inches. Okay, and I will go ahead and connect. And also you guys, I'm going to be needing half an inch to join this to the waist of my trouser. So I'm going to go ahead and input half an inch. Okay, so I'm going to input half an inch right here. Okay, the only place I'm not going to be inputting this half an inch is this down part, this side, because I'm going to be cutting this on fold. Do you understand me? I'm going to be cutting on fold. So what I'm going to do is to increase this part by half an inch. Automatically I have 2 inches. Okay, I hope you guys are understanding what I'm trying to explain. So it's actually because of this tutorial I'm drafting out this band, but for me I would say it's better you join your trousers together and then measure your round waist before you cut out this band. Okay, so I have my half an inch. So now in total what I have here is 2 inches. So can you see? And I'm going to be cutting this on fold. So if I want to cut, I'm going to place my fabric like this and then cut out 2 inches. In that case, this part I'm going to be folding in half an inch, and the other side I'm going to be folding in half an inch. I hope you guys actually understand what I am explaining right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So guys, this is my band, and here is our front and back trouser pattern. Okay, so you guys, we have actually come to the end of this tutorial. Okay, I hope you guys find this tutorial helpful. If you enjoy this tutorial, don't forget to give it thumbs up, and please turn on your post notifications to get notifications like this once I upload a new video. And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.